Alright, in this video we're going to go into surface patterns. Before we do that, let's go ahead and apply some of our ortho drawings template. So you can see a couple of things have happened immediately as the poche was applied. The grid, the structural grid went away. So make sure that you've set this up just right. Again, you have complete control over those. I think if you're making presentation drawings, there's a lot of things such as the grid and stuff that is more of a construction document thing than a normal architectural review would have. So you can control all of that in here. Annotation categories. You start to look for grids and turn those things off. You can do that for a lot of things. Elevation marks right here, all that kind of stuff. So just to clean up your drawings, it's pretty easy once you use those view templates and just do a few overrides. Okay, so we have the poches coming in. That's great. The site came in. I think I might be missing my base, so I'll have to go and look for that. I'll do that offline. Okay, so surface patterns. So let's take a look at this, the floor that I have in here. Assuming that I do have a floor. Alright, so let's take a look at this floor. It's right now it has no material, so we should give it a material. And so let's start to build up its various layers. So its base layer may be that is concrete. But we may want to have a different finish. So let's look at that. So we'll just have another finish, and let's say that finish is some kind of tile. So let's see what we have there. So we have a couple of options that are kind of already built into Revit. We'll just go with this tile mosaic and take a look at it. And while we're at it, I mean, you can change its properties, and that's what we're really going to get into in this video. So I think I'm just going to duplicate it so I can make it kind of any color. I'm going to take off the gray part, and let's just imagine that it's white or some other kind of color. And we'll look here, we have a couple of things. We have a surface pattern, we have a cut pattern, and let's look at the surface pattern. So you have two categories. You have drafting and you have model. So in drafting, that's going to happen in mostly any of your orthographic views. Modeling is going to be, it will start to show up in other views such as camera view. I'm going to try to see if I can get what I want just out of the model view. So now you have very specific patterns that have already been created for you. You can kind of go through those, toggle through those. And let's just go with a pretty large pattern, but we'll go with the 12-inch and then we'll edit it and see what, to get it applied to something very specific. So again, we're using a mosaic 12-inch white. It's up to you on the color. I just don't make it obnoxious. And then we'll go ahead and change this so that it actually has some thickness. Alright, so we see immediately that we get the pattern start to show up in our drawing, which is exactly what we wanted. I'm thinking that 12-inch in this kind of large space is not really ideal. Let's take a look at how it's aggregating. There's also kind of it's not coursing out very well with my structure. So let's make sure that we understand how much distance is between our various pieces. Okay, it looks like I might want to be a little bit more specific with the distance between these things. So yeah, that would work. So what I'm attempting to do right now is really kind of make the structure make a lot more sense. When I first put these in, it was a bit sloppy. So now I'm trying to rectify that. So these things being 18 inches or 18 feet on center would make a lot more sense with any kind of pattern that you would put in. Make more sense structurally anyway. So what I've done is started to shift those. And now I'm going to attempt to just kind of get them in a better location, centrally centered in that space. I'm going to go ahead and lock them with their the other side. This will probably mean I have to adjust the beams a bit, but it's not a big deal. Okay, so I have that. So now let's look at the pattern again. And you'll notice that it's not really still not coursing out. So if we have I still have to get this one kind of in the right ballpark. I'm using the keystrokes just to move this incrementally. There we go. Okay, alright, so we have those situated 18.0 between them. It is now coursing out, you would think. But let's change the pattern. It's a little bit too small. So to do that, we can go into Manage, go into Materials, and we just type in Tile. We could also go into the properties of that floor, grab the right one, go in here. This is really easy to kind of look at different sizes to create them yourself. So let's just make an 18. I think an 18-inch tile would work. So then we just have to throw in the proper dimensions. Okay. Let's say okay. So now we have that new one in there. Probably should have duplicated it so we had a 12-inch still. Okay, so we get them both. Alright, so make sure you select the 18-inch. You can do whatever you want, just kind of own it. Alright, so the pattern all starts at this top. I'm not sure, it seems to be randomly placed left to right. So how do you move that? Well, it's really simple, but it's impossible to find unless you know this trick. So you just tab over one of the lines that you want to move, and you until it gets blue, and then you can move it And what we're looking for is to kind of get it right there, right centered maybe, you know, and then you tab over for vertical, do the same thing. And it looks like left to right, these columns really aren't placed in a very good relationship. So, you know, again, if you're you're really rigorous about what you're doing, you would start to adjust this. So either these need to move out and the pattern needs to move with it. This needs to do a similar kind of, you know, maybe this needs to go that way, just a skosh. And these need to go the same, just a bit, and then you need to move the pattern. And now we're starting to get kind of certain alignments. So this is what, I mean, this is really where architecture, this separates the good ones from the bad ones. And you would do the same with everything. You know, it's like, well, you know, probably that should figure out how it courses out. Probably this here, this shaft and everything about it, should start to think about how materials come together. So again, I'll leave it to you to decide how much you want to do that. Again, cleaning up the drawings is essential. So you want to start to think about, you know, what lines you really need, what lines you may not need. So right now I'm getting rid of perhaps a line that is non-essential right here. And you can also look at seeing if you can't break that line. All right, other things, I think that's good for now.